This is Mac OS Ken.
Financial news around Apple. Something is broken at Twitter. And Apple TV Plus talk. It is Friday, the 13th of January, 2023. And me without my hockey mask. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken. Brought to you by yours truly and supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/MacOSKen. Another price target cut for Apple shares. CNBC ran a piece earlier this week saying that Barclays Capital had cut its 12-month target on the Cupertino Company stock from $144 to $133. Not super surprising given the firm's hold or neutral rating on Apple shares. The change came in lockstep with Barclays lowering its revenue estimate by 7% for the quarter. Would have been neat if CNBC had said which quarter specifically, whether the current one or the one Apple will report on the 2nd of February. It's probably the current one, though. The piece quotes a note from Barclays saying, "What started out as production-driven cuts has moved to demand weakness across product categories. We are also concerned about decelerating services growth." Though they tend to be not as informative as a quarterly earnings call, we've got a date for Apple's annual shareholders meeting. That is to say, we know when it's going to happen. It's not the kind of thing you take a date to, and besides, nobody is going. As it has been since the start of the pandemic, 157 years ago, this year's meeting will be a virtual affair. According to a piece from Mac Rumors, items of business will include voting to re-elect the board of directors, ratifying Ernst & Young LLP as Apple's public accounting firm, approving executive compensation, voting on shareholder proposals, and more. The meeting is set for Friday, the 10th of March at 9 a.m. Pacific. Well in advance of the shareholders meeting, 9 to 5 Mac says Apple published its annual proxy statement on Thursday. From it, the biggest news seems to be Tim Cook's big pay cut. According to the statement, Mr. Cook's 2023 target total compensation is $49 million, a reduction of over 40% from his 2022 target total compensation. Don't freak out. It was his idea. Kind of. The times in the 9 to 5 Mac piece are kind of hard to follow. The report says Cook's total compensation in 2021 was $98 million. That year, the site says 94.9% of shareholders surveyed supported the executive compensation proposal, which it seems would have covered compensation in 2020. In 2022, the piece says 64% of votes cast were in favor of the 2021 compensation paid to executives. That is a pretty sharp decline, one that Cook suggested be addressed by paying him less. If you want to know how his pay will break down, nerd. Also, it's expected to go base salary of $3 million, which is unchanged, annual cash incentive of $6 million, which is unchanged, an equity award value of $40 million, that is down from $75 million in 2022. In 2022, 50% of the stocks were performance-based vesting and 50% were based on time. In 2023, 75% are performance-based according to the report, and 25% are time-based vesting. Something Cook & Company may want to address during the shareholders meeting is employee satisfaction or lack thereof. A piece from iMore says the Cupertino Company has fallen out of Glassdoor's list of the 100 best places to work in the U.S. It is the first time Apple has been off that list since 2009, which is when the list began. Your first thought might be that this is part of a bigger backlash against big tech. A look at the list shows otherwise, though. Notable tech names in the top 20 include Box, NVIDIA, Google, Microsoft, Adobe, CrowdStrike, and LinkedIn. Something is broken at Twitter. The question, is this the company coming apart as many have expected, or was whatever was broken on purpose? TechCrunch ran a piece last night saying that third-party Twitter clients were unable to access the service. My Tweetbot app told me repeatedly that it was unable to access my account, saying there was a problem authenticating with Twitter and that I needed to sign in again to access my account. Of course, it wasn't me, and there was nothing I could do. Apparently caught unawares were the third-party Twitter clients. Tweetbot tweeted, "Tweetbot and other clients are experiencing problems logging into Twitter. We've reached out to Twitter for more details but haven't heard back. We're hoping this is just a temporary glitch, and we'll let you know more as soon as we know more." Similarly, Twitterrific tweeted, "We're aware that Twitterrific is having problems communicating with Twitter. We don't yet know what the root cause is, but we're trying to find out. Please stay tuned, and apologies." There are all sorts of reasons to suspect that this was an intentional move on Twitter's part. Since taking over the service 157 years ago, Elon Musk has made platform-changing moves without warning and seemingly sometimes without a plan. Third-party clients don't give Twitter the same level of user insight. They also don't give Twitter ad impressions. Both of those may gull the sinker. Because he carried in a sink, you see. At the same time, between firings and resignations, some people have just been waiting for the chicken wire and chewing gum holding Twitter together to give way. The way TechCrunch sees it, it's likely that Twitter made some changes to its API for third-party clients that resulted in these apps breaking down. It's not clear if this is a step to thwart access to the platform. So, yeah, either it was an accident or it was on purpose. Thanks for that. A new Apple TV Plus series seems to be targeting Earth Day in a good way. The Cupertino streamer issued a press release Thursday promoting Jane, described as a 10-episode, mission-driven series for kids and families inspired by the work of Dr. Jane Goodall. The series centers on Jane Garcia, a 9-year-old budding environmentalist on a quest to save endangered animals. With her best friend, a friendly chimpanzee, and her imagination, Jane embarks on epic adventures to help protect wild animals all around the world, driven by the words of Dr. Jane Goodall, "Only if we understand will we care, only if we care will we help, only if we help can they be saved." Of course, those aren't her only words. Dr. Jane Goodall is actually quoted in the press release saying, "I'm excited about this opportunity and relationship with Apple and production company Sinking Ship. The program Jane spreads a message of hope and reminds children that the environment is something that we all have to be concerned about, while also inspiring them and their parents to make a difference." Earth Day is the 22nd of April. Jane hits Apple TV Plus a little over a week earlier. The show will premiere globally on Friday, the 14th of April. Hitting sooner than Jane and aimed at adults, Apple TV Plus has released a trailer for the feature film Sharper. According to a piece from Cult of Mac, Sharper is an old slang term for a swindler or a con artist, and there seem to be plenty of those in this movie. I can tell you everything that happens in the trailer and it still wouldn't spoil anything. It looks like a woman is trying to swindle a billionaire. Her son tries to rob the billionaire, though she backs the son off for a bigger score. He targets the billionaire's son with a scam of his own. Looks like the women scamming the men in the film are actually falling for their marks. Or is that part of the scam? Think Mammoth without the pretentiousness. Julianne Moore leads the film, with John Lithgow, Sebastian Stan, Justice Smith, and Brianna Middleton playing along. The movie hits theaters on Friday, the 10th of February. It'll hit Apple TV Plus 1 week later on Friday, the 17th. Between now and then, you can catch the trailer on YouTube. And finally today, nominations for the 2023 NAACP Image Awards are out, and a lot have Apple's name on them. A piece from Apple Insider says 10 Apple original films and series have garnered 21 nominations, over half for 2 of the Cupertino Company's titles. They include 6 for The Last Days of Ptolemy Gray, 5 for Emancipation, 2 for the documentary Louis Armstrong's Black and Blues, 2 for the documentary Sydney, and 1 each for The Boy, the Mole, the Fox and the Horse, Causeway, Central Park, Little America, Loot, and Surface. The 54th NAACP Image Awards will take place on Saturday, the 25th of February, according to a piece from Billboard. The ceremony will be broadcast on BET. Today on the Mac Observer's Daily Observations podcast, snippets of code in an Apple-made Windows app, name-check 2 AR, VR, MR related operating systems. TMO Managing Editor Jeff Butts and I kick those around. First, though, we examine analyst sentiment around Apple. That is all today on the Daily Observations podcast from the Mac Observer, online at macobserver.com or wherever you get podcasts. macOS Ken, brought to you by me and supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSKen. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. Info at macosken.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.